Welcome to the Jira Life, the place to find news, events, and interviews with the Atlassian community's movers and shakers. Because we didn't choose the Jira Life chose us. Thank you to Revyz for backing us up and making the Jira Life possible.
Hello there.
Hello, friends.
Hello.
Looking to silly. Good day. I feel Canadian now. Good day, eh?
Canadian, Australian, something.
Well, yeah, there's a little too much ood in the good. Ood in the good. Otherwise, it'd be good day. No, I
well, I'm the rare occasions I am on camera, I usually welcome the Jira Amigos, both those in the peanut gallery and beyond, either listening to us on Spotify or watching the YouTube recording.
I like the end.
Hey, Alex, I was about to say, Alex, you look especially regal today.
Oh, my crown is showing.
Indeed.
But in all seriousness,
yeah. Speaking of royalty, we have royalty here.
Yeah. Agreed. That's you, Ravi.
Royalty.
Yes.
I mean, let's look at it realistically. You were established making content when I was new. And people are now saying I'm like the OG content creator. I'm like, no. There were others.
I mean, was it even called, not to be weird, but were people referring to it as content? So we heard backstage, Ravi's been doing this really technically pushing stuff out there since 2012. Not all available out on his site, but that's when he started. And so I'm just curious, what was it called back then? Were you just like putting videos on YouTube?
It's not just videos. He's written books. He's written Atlassian books before Rodney and I, before Brittany, before Aaron, right? I have dog-eared copies of like Mastering Jira 7. Just floating around in my bookshelf. So he's hit the old media. He's hitting videos. And look, there's, speaking of another old time, Matt says hi.
Long time, not old time.
Long time. And actually when we were creating the description to put onto the show description, I used the word long time, and Rodney thought I should have used like OG. I think that was what you guys instantly thought of. Like, Ravi's the OG, and so
Thank you.
I'm not going to dispute that. You are the OG. I don't know where the timeline fits. I think you wrote books before Matt did.
Well, I don't know about other books, but to be honest, when it comes to sharing content, so I started writing on my blog. So I have a website called ravisagar.in. It's a very personal place for me where I used to write a lot. I don't write a lot anymore, unfortunately, because I don't get time. But I used to basically write blogs, simple blog posts, and I used to also provide trainings on Jira and Atlassian tools, and I had a lot of notes. Like, when you provide training, when you have a lot of content in different formats scattered everywhere on your computer, I then one day decided to just consolidate, combine everything, compile everything, and then I somehow ended up writing a book. So the first book that I wrote was, I believe, was in 2013, if I remember correctly. And that was on Jira 6. It was around that time when Jira 5, I think Jira 5 was there when I started writing my book. But I think Jira 6 was a major change when we had, I think, the new interface. And apart from my blog, I had my book. And that book was actually quite popular. But I also started doing podcasting long back. I think it was in 2009 or 2010. So I had a podcast where it was maybe just one or two people listening, but then I stopped, doing that because I thought, it is not really worth doing a podcast. And I think it was in 2011 or 2012, like late 2011, when I started uploading videos on YouTube. Back then, YouTube was not massively popular. It was
Mhm.
just a place for some random weird videos. And I used to make videos on how to install Java to set up your Jira environment, how to configure environment variables for your Jira installation. So that was long back, and those videos were really bad, and I to keep it all private. It was really in, I think, 2016, 2017 when I thought, okay, let me just resume making videos. And back then it was all Jira Data Center and Script Runner. And Script Runner is of course very close to me because when I started doing stuff with Jira, we had the option to create plugins. We had the option to hack Jira, modify velocity files, insert JavaScript code here and there. But Script Runner used to be a free plugin. So Script Runner from day one was my go-to tool for doing things with Jira. And I think my videos became popular because I was making videos on Script Runner. So I think it is not just Jira, it is also Jira and Script Runner that I think got me started.
Oh,
And uh,
yeah.
and that is how I have been doing things on Jira and making content online. But of course, making content online was never really my primary focus. It was just me doing something on my free time.
Yeah. So I'm gonna kind of go back to the books just because, as because that's kind of the thread that you and I share. Not only do we share the fact that we've written books, but
Hmm.
we actually have the same publisher.
Pact.
So yes, we published our books through Pact,
Hmm.
and this always came up since you're the trailblazer. Was it hard to get them to talk to you? Did you come to them, or did they come to you?
So they came to me. They came
Okay.
to me, and not many people know about this, but Jira was not really like Mastering Jira was not really the first book that I wrote. So one of the first book that I wrote was actually on. I'm not really sure if you know about it or not, but there is something called as VBA, Visual Basic Applications. I
Uh-huh.
believe that is the correct thing. So I used to do a lot of work on Excel, unfortunately or fortunately, and I used to do a lot of work on VBA. So the very
Yeah.
first book that I wrote was actually on VBA. That book was published, then I unpublished it, and I had some experience, writing content and organizing content. So uh, when I was doing a lot of things online, because I had a blog, ravisagar.in, and thanks for sharing that. Pact actually reached out to me to write a book. And when they reached out to me, I already was in a process of, doing something with my content. It was basically just coincidental. Like they reached out to me and I thought, okay, it's a publisher and I don't have to worry about, all the stuff, which is not easy, by the way, to self-publish.
Yeah.
And working with Pact was, I think, a good experience. Although Pact, just they're just like any other publisher, but for me it was good. And when they reached out to me, I thought, okay, let us just go through a publisher. I know it will be not the same because when you go through a publisher, they take majority of the cut
Yeah.
and they pay you they
Right.
pay you royalty. But I think you are driven by their deadlines and there's someone who is always chasing you for delivering the chapters. So that was actually my thought process. I thought, okay, just let us go through let us go through a proper process. And when they reached out to me, I was in a way happy that okay, I don't have to worry about publishing and marketing of the book.
Yeah. Yeah. That is kind of the one thing, having working for an established publisher, that,
Yep.
and with the downside of they really, really want you to stick close to that outline that you
Mm.
first give them. But as you go through that writing process, actually discover new things, and things have changed, and it's like there's a little bit of back and forth,
Exactly.
where sometimes you have to stand your ground, sometimes you don't. But it's really interesting to see how with the blogging, it kind of I guess it was, one didn't lead to the other per se, but they kind of mutually grew. If that's kind of a...
I think so. So for me, it was always so blogging itself. So writing books, my first book was, I think it was very natural for me, because I was always writing a lot, and whatever I publish online on my blog, and of course in my books, it is probably like 5% of what I write. I write a lot. I have a lot of my internal notes. I basically have my own system of making notes here and there, and I enjoy it. So when I was doing blogging, of course I was sharing content online, and when you write something on your blog, you know that people will be reading it, and you also know that people will be reaching out to you. Because for me, I knew that like early, or I should say in early 2000, or maybe late 2000, around 2010-ish time, people were actually, everyone was online, right, across the world. So I always knew that if I want my content to go out, if I want my services, for example, to be known, I need to be active. So I was, of course, writing online quite regularly, and when it came to writing actually a book, it was not too difficult for me. It was all about organizing your content, because when you write a book, you have to stick to like, of course, a process, but you have to follow some restrictions. You have to be within your outline. You have to be within your number of pages. And I think, as you mentioned, I actually learned a lot when I worked with my publisher, Pact, because they will ensure that whatever you're doing is up to their mark.
Yeah. They have a pretty tight mark. They one of the nice things about it is they know who to bring in as technical reviewers. And I wonder who, if you remember who your technical reviewers are. Were they also names you had heard of that were just as versed in Jira?
I don't remember the name, but I remember reviewing a book from, I think, Patrick Lee. He's not around, I guess, anymore.
He's still around. I have his Jira book.
Yeah.
Kind of like the last data book that.
Yeah, and I'm not really sure if you know Jobin. Jobin wrote one of the first Jira development book. So I actually reviewed one book for Pact. It was, I think, before I actually wrote my first book. So basically, Pact knew that, okay, Ravi is one such guy who can actually review a book, and they also reached out to me because they found me online. But I reviewed one book, and I think, if I remember correctly, I think it was probably Patrick who reviewed my book. I don't know. I need to just review my notes and my old emails. But I honestly don't remember who reviewed my book. But I was one of the reviewer.
Yeah, Matt says he might have been a technical reviewer for your book. So
okay, Matt. Okay, Matt. I think I probably owe you a drink.
So another thing that I think you're probably really known for, because even today, if I look up something on this topic, you're probably the first source I'll find, more often than not, followed by the actual official documentation. And this is, I mean, again, we mentioned earlier, Script Runner. You are still in the Google rankings and everything, like the recognized expert on Script Runner.
Yeah. So talking about Script Runner, and to be honest, even doing things with Jira, because I have been using and helping my clients with Jira for a long time now. I think it has been probably 20 years now, roughly 20 years. Now, the thing with Jira, and of course in any other tool, is that especially if we talk about Jira, there are so many things that you can do, or we were able to do with Jira. I mean, especially on Jira Data Center. Of course, things are a bit different on Jira Cloud. We'll probably talk about Jira Cloud a bit later. But when it comes to Jira Data Center, it is basically an application running on Tomcat on your server, and you can actually do anything, literally anything you want. Now, when I was working with my clients or solving problems with Jira, Jira was, of course, a tool that initially I didn't really enjoy. I mean, it was a weird tool because I came from that background, like enterprise background, where we used to work on tools like DCT or rational tools, heavy duty tools like MS Project Server. So I always had that experience, and my my um, my area of interest was always, project management, how we can use a tool to deliver, how we can use a tool to plan your resources and their capacity, and how we can use it to track the progress. So when Jira came into picture, when I was told by my manager to use a tool like Jira, initially I didn't like it, but when I started looking into it, I I realized it's a good tool because you can actually customize it, and it is lightweight. It is not that difficult, to be honest. And talking about Script used to be, I guess, free. It was open source before it was acquired by Adaptivist. And initially, when I started using Jira for my clients, I used to develop apps. Or I think it used to be called as plugins. And developing a plugin using Atlassian SDK was always a possibility, but to add a simple button on your Jira issue view to do something, or maybe to add some simple functionality, you had to create a plugin. But when I came to know about Script was doing the same thing, but it was so easy. You just go to the Script interface and you basically write a simple script. You insert a fragment or you create a job, and it's all done. So for me, Script from day one, when it was free, even I think if you read my very first book, I think even in both of my books for Jira Data Center or Jira Server, there is a chapter of Script. So Script was always there, in my toolkit, and I always used to install it for all of my installations for my clients because it was free. Of course, when it became
why not?
and when it was paid, even then none of my client complained because it was adding value. So Script because of my background, my experience, and of course the value that it used to bring, I thought, okay, I should probably talk about Script a lot. So if you look at my previous videos, like my initial videos, of course I have a lot of videos on doing simple things with Jira, solving simple problems, but a lot of my videos are actually on Script
What is your go-to library of scripts? Let's say if you're starting up a Jira server instance or a Jira data center instance, and you have to do some customization, you have Script Runner installed, what are the scripts that you're absolutely putting in?
It depends. I think it depends on the requirement. I think I don't really install or configure scripts just for the sake of it. But just to give you some simple examples, usually it is all about adding some behaviors here and there, adding some escalation jobs to automatically close an issue. But it all depends on requirements. And when I work with my clients, and I think it is probably the same for every Jira installation, like on DC, people do weird things with Jira, like absolutely weird things. But there are no, I don't really have a list of 10 or 5 or 20 scripts that you should always have. I think my recommendation as a Jira consultant is do what you need to do, right? And don't really go with the best practices. I mean, not always, but when it comes to using Script Runner, of course, try to optimize the usage of scripts. But I don't really have any like a number of scripts to begin with. It depends on what they want to do.
Of course.
Do you have a favorite though? Do you have one that you're like, oh, when I did this one, it was a game changer for me?
I have plenty of examples. I mean, literally plenty of examples. It really depends on. Sometimes when you do a very simple automation, it adds a lot of value. Sometimes you spend 6 months doing something and it is of no use. They don't use it. For example, I was working for a bank and I worked on probably one of the biggest bank in the world. I spent literally 2 years. I know it sounds really weird. I spent 2 years, or majority of those 2 years were basically capturing the requirements and
Oh, yeah.
working on a couple of scripts, and they didn't use it. So you never really know.
Right. But I just think about the idea that there once was a world before automation in Jira. And it seems crazy, right? But wasn't there, like before script runner, before everything, automations would have just,
I
they would have
think
been much more complex to create.
I think so. You're right. I think it was definitely around, if I remember correctly. I think it was definitely around 2006-7 when people started using Jira and they started knowing about Jira. Before that, I think Jira was, there were features like all the known features that we are aware of, like schemes and workflows and everything. Back then, there used to be something called as jelly scripting. I don't know if you remember or if you are aware of it. And we had some capabilities of doing something with Jira. There were some plugins like Bob Swift plugin, if I remember correctly. But definitely, but definitely around 2007, 8, 9, and of course even till now, we have script now, and people are doing weird things with Jira, literally weird things with Jira. But yeah, in the beginning, Jira was just a simple tool with the possibility of creating your own custom fields, your own workflows, your own issue types, and it was really nice as compared to those old legacy tools.
And Rodney, I was worried I cut you off. I thought you had a question, maybe.
If I did, it's lost to the void now.
So,
But
let's talk a little bit about your day job. So, we know you through your blogging, through your books, through your videos, but you also, during the day to pay the bills, to get food on the table. I put you down as the CEO of Sparxsys. I don't know if that's a correct assessment, but you're the head guy at Sparxsys. You're you're at least the most senior technical guy at Sparxsys. What is Sparxsys?
So yeah, thanks for asking. It's a very good question. People know me as, I guess, a YouTuber, which is not really wrong. I am in a way a YouTuber, but I run a company called Sparxsys, which is basically an Atlassian consultancy company. And this company has been there. I think I started this company with a friend of mine in India back in 2010. So we are not too old, not too new, and this company of mine, we have been basically doing a typical Jira consultation. Jira is, of course, our main tool, but of course we do cover other Atlassian products like Confluence and Bitbucket, and quite recently, of course, when we move to cloud, or because we're talking about cloud, on cloud things are of course different. Jira Product Discovery and Trello, for example. But the company which I run, as you mentioned, to earn my living, we do the usual stuff. We help our clients, we help organizations get the most out of Jira, and our focus, or I should say our specialty, our area of interest has always been till now Jira Data Center and of course automation, doing integrations. But apart from, of course, doing the hardcore technical stuff, we do work with non-technical teams. I love working with people who want to use Jira for doing something totally non-technical, like someone from your HR department, someone from your marketing team. So the company which I run is actually keeping me busy all the time. Of course, I make videos, and I have been making regular videos on my channel. I think till 2023, I used to make a daily video every day, and I know it used to be a lot, but in the last couple of years, I have become very busy. I want to now focus a bit more on my company. I have a team of 15 people, so Sparxsys is not really just me and my friend. We have a team. We have a team in India and here in the UK. So my focus and my priority right now is, of course, to make sure that my clients are happy. But at the same time, I want to make sure that my company is able to pay the bills and salaries. So that is what keeping me busy most of the time.
So one thing that was at least noteworthy to me about Sparxsys was that you branched out and offered a product or a app, plugin, add-on, whatever you want to call it, on the Atlassian marketplace. And this was something where I have an interest in, and this is starting and stopping sprints. So you want to do a little bit of a plug on that product?
Yeah, definitely. So before I talk about this app, I guess these are not really called apps anymore because
they're still apps. They're still apps. Right now, Atlassian is putting their products in the same vernacular as your app, as Script Runner, as
I think they should probably, because all the apps that we contribute or we try to publish, I think they should probably call them as contributed apps, because I think now they're calling Jira Software as an app, JPD as an app, JSM is also an app. So talking about, thanks for asking, talking about the app that we built, it is basically a feature that is already there on Jira Data Center, right? If you go to Jira Data Center and if you try to...
It's on Data Center. You can do it on Data Center. You can't do it on cloud.
Yeah. So on cloud, I thought, okay, we are doing anyway stuff with Forge. And I'll talk about Forge, by the way. I thought, okay, it's a very simple app. And I have a team. I have a few dedicated resources. They are Node.js developers. They do stuff on React. I just asked them, okay, let us build a simple app to start and stop the sprints. But of course, it is not that simple, because when you start and stop the sprints, you also want to figure out what you want to do when you stop a sprint. Do you want to move it to the next sprint? Do you want to move it to the backlog? Do you want to create a new sprint? So basically, the app that we built is mimicking what is already there on Jira Data Center. And when it came to the naming, I thought I should probably name it something which is a bit more catchy. So I basically stole that script runner for Jira, and I thought, okay, sprint runner for Jira would be a nice name. So it's basically a simple app that we build like in our free time.
Sarah, I think you are still on mute.
I am. I had a sneeze earlier and I muted myself. I was resonating also with the getting the non-technical teams, right? And those non-technical use cases and solutioning for them. We talk a lot about the, where Atlassian started, where its audience was and how much it's expanded. So for me personally, it's kind of fun to have somebody on here looking into those other teams and which ones do you find more challenging, if you were to say, although maybe you can't, but are the technical teams the easier clients? Because one might think they understand the concept of requirements and delivering requirements and telling you what you need, or is it the non-business teams who actually maybe sometimes come in a little easier?
It's a very good question. So I think it depends. For me, and I'll be very honest and blunt with you, I find it really difficult to work with project managers.
A lot of people do. They're my favorite personal people, but I know a lot of people are challenged with it.
Is it a matter of do as I say, not I want this now, even though I know the concept of a backlog, but I still want it now?
Yeah, exactly. So I think when it comes to difficult people, because when it comes to Jira consultancy, when it comes to Jira administration, I think Jira consultation or Jira administration work is still, even on Jira Cloud, it is still a technical job, right?
Mhm.
So when you're working with engineers, when you're working with product managers, when you're working with, let us say, technical leads, I think they understand how Jira works and they have the technical background. But that is also same in a way true for someone who is from marketing, because end of the day they just want to get the work done. But personally, when it comes to people who are difficult to work with, I think it is usually those people who are like so-called scrum masters or project managers. They don't really understand technology, they don't really understand tools. All they want to do, they want to just have a simple life and happy life. They are a bit lazy sometimes. I know I'm talking about uh, these people, but just from my own personal experience, because when you work with project managers are not really the same breed anymore. When I was starting my career, PMs were people who were engineers and they were evolved. They had that technical background and they became like it was very very natural for them to become someone who, after 10 years of experience, to become a PM. Nowadays, PM is all about creating sprints or creating a roadmap. That is not really project management. People expect a lot from Jira. Project management is not really about using a tool like Jira. People can actually do project management without any tool. So when you work with these people, they will ask for weird automations, things that are not really reasonable. For example, recently I was working with a team, and their PM was asking me to automatically update all these stories and subtasks with some field coming from the Epic. Of course, you
Mhm.
can do that, but that is not really always necessary. If you want to have a better reporting, then do reporting yourself. If you want to ensure that your team is working, talk to them every day. Don't really expect a tool like Jira or any tool to do the work for you. So for me personally, from my experience, like as a whole, uh, I think PMs are a bit difficult people to work with.
For me, it's always a question of what problem do I want to tackle? Because
Hmm.
when I start talking with the technical people, the problem I face is they already have a solution in mind,
That's what I'm
Hmm.
saying.
and it may not always be the optimal solution, at which point I'm having to go in and convince them, hey, if we go through this, that is a more optimal solution, and here's why.
Yep.
Versus the people who are not as technical or maybe don't have as much experience with Jira. Now I'm getting into training. I have to teach them about everything before I can ask them about an opinion on something, because they don't even know what they don't know yet.
Yep.
So it's
I agree.
like, which challenge do I want to face today?
Yeah, and that's
Exactly.
kind of where what I was thinking about, Rodney, is, is it the people who know too much and then come in and try to dictate how something needs to be, or
I
but
think
then to your point, it's the people who still maybe want to dictate exactly how something should be, even though it doesn't make sense.
yeah, and I think as a Jira consultant, I think you also need to you need to be a bit firm, and you need to
Yeah.
be a bit confident about what you're saying, because if you're talking about Jira, because we are experts in Jira, right? And it is not just a tool,
Mhm.
because we work with people, we have been working with processes and solving problems. So you need to tell them that what we're doing is right. And sometimes you sound a bit arrogant, you sound a bit too confident, but that is how things are. You need to tell them that we are right. And as you mentioned, Rodney, uh, when people already have a solution, of course having a solution is not always ideal, because when you try to solve a problem right now, it can lead to more problems in 6 months from now.
And that
So,
was sorry, I just got one more follow-up if I
go
might,
for it.
Bob.
Yep.
Because there was a lot of conversation for a while. I haven't seen as much of it recently, but in the like what title or what phrase or how would you actually describe, you know, Atlassian admins or Jira admins? Because admins was starting to feel almost insufficient, because there were ideas of what admins are and what
Mm.
as compared to what a lot of the Jira admins actually do. So how would you frame that role that you take on, even though you come in as a consultant and do it, how would you frame that?
I think so. When I think when we say admin, people usually expect some kind of a technical role. And I think in 2025, because we still have Jira Data Center, I think when it comes to Jira admin, it is still somewhat a technical job. things might be different in future, because I think after a couple of years we'll not have we'll probably not have any technical work, because you can still be a Jira admin without doing anything technical, because a project manager can be a Jira admin. And I've seen instances where all the PMs, all the product managers, all the program managers, they have the Jira admin rights, and they are doing stuff on Jira. And it depends whether you train them or not properly. But I think Jira admin role will, and it will definitely change in near future. But I think so far, even right now, Jira admin is still, because we were always a system admin. I think most of us, if not all, we used to do stuff on servers, and then someone asked us to install Jira, and then we install Jira, and then we maintain it. So it is still somewhat a technical job, but things will change for sure in near future. Jira admin will probably be something different, not really like right now.
I mean, we look back, and even just looking back at the server/DC days, as a Jira admin or as a Atlassian admin or whatever you want to call them, you were still wearing many hats.
Yep.
Because most of the org did not know about it. So if you onboarded anyone onto Jira, you're now a trainer.
Yep.
You were expected to figure out, okay, what is the ideal process? You're now a business analyst.
Yep.
If you have script runner, or maybe you have your own add-ons, you're now a programmer.
Yep.
Or software engineer. You're a configuration manager, obviously, because you're managing the Jira configuration. The Atlassian admin has always been a job of wearing many hats, and it's getting to the point now where people are asking how many hats is too many hats for what people are doing.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. I mean, like if I look at my day job, like any given day, I am doing stuff on server. I'm also telling someone how to share a filter. Like you need to add. You need to click on the add button to make sure that you are sharing it with a group or a role, and then you need to click on the save button. Then the next, like in the next meeting, I'm talking to someone and explaining them that this is how a workflow works. So you're right, exactly right. I mean, we have to do multiple things every single day.
All right. We've got a question here from our Jeremigo Pashem, who's over in Poland. He's got to ask the script runner expert himself on whether or not there is a difference performance-wise between inline scripts, file scripts, or a developed app that's been installed as a jar file.
Okay. So I think performance really depends on what you're doing. I think when you have an inline script, or when you're using a script somewhere on the script editor, I think that really won't make a difference. For me personally, depending upon the use case, sometimes I prefer inline scripting if it is just a simple couple of lines here and there. But if I have to maintain a lot of scripts, of course, I prefer the script editor. But when it comes to developing an app, I think developing an app may have some benefits because it's your own app. You're talking to your Jira Java APIs directly, just like script runner, but the performance is not really based on how you store the script.
I'm going to throw in my consultant it depends answer, because I think you're right. It really depends on how complex the script is.
Exactly.
Versus where if you have a developed app and you're installing it as a jar file, you're basically already pre-compiling. And so you don't have to worry about the time it takes to compile or interpret the script. So
it is always, as you mentioned, it depends. But if you have the choice, if you already have a script runner, I would say go for script runner. Because in most of the cases, if you're not doing something very complex, I think using script runner makes sense because it is a maintainable solution. To keep the app up to date is a pain, because every time you have to update something in the app, you have to go to your local IntelliJ, make changes and create a new version, and of course, get a new jar file, then upload it on the server. And nowadays, uploading a jar file on the server from the UI, I think it is disabled. You have to enable it using a flag. So if you're not doing anything super complex, use script runner.
Yeah, and that's what I like. Script runner is one of those tools I absolutely love. I love behaviors. One thing that I'm trying to remember if this is a cloud limitation or if this is on data center as well. I'm pretty sure it's a cloud limitation where the execution of scripts, no matter if they're like a workflow or inline, there's a 4-minute time limit on scripts. Sarah's nodding her head, so
it sounds familiar.
And I'm trying to remember if that's like cloud only or if that's I wouldn't
pretty
think
sure that's cloud
data.
only.
Okay.
So are we talking about script runner execution, right? Or like what kind of scripts are we talking about?
Just any scripts. Like my favorite script right now is or one of the scripts I'm personally writing is a scheduled job, and I'm looking at the executions, and there's a hard limit of 4 minutes. And from my understanding, it's like any script that if you're using script runner on Jira Cloud, your scripts have a 4-minute time limit.
Right. I used to do a lot of work on script runner on cloud, but it is not the same. I mean, of course, it is all using REST API. And nowadays, of course, we have Forge. So nowadays, we are actually totally focused on Forge, because using Forge, although it is not that old, but I think Atlassian is doing a lot of work. They're adding a lot of features. So we now focus a bit more on Forge. Right now, we are doing, in a way, implementation or re-implementation of all the data center scripts using Forge. It is not the same. It is very difficult. But when it comes to Forge, I think Forge is the recommended way, or a preferred way nowadays. Script runner for Jira on cloud, it is okay. It is not bad. But end of the day, you're just using REST API of Jira Cloud.
I hear there's a conference, Builder Summit out in California in a few weeks that they would love to have some more Forge resources for. So maybe Ravi can consider jumping on a plane and joining that. Do you ever do speaking engagements?
I mean, I'm doing it right now, I guess. Right? But I do sometimes attend local events. Sometimes, I don't really think I've attended any event this year in London. I did attend one event in India when I was there last month. It was about Row. I think few people from Atlassian came, but even if I want, it is very difficult for me to find time, because when it comes to speaking engagements, you have to, of course, do some preparation and maybe talk to a few people in the beginning. It's not really about the work. It's more about how much time you can spend.
Yes.
So I really want to. Maybe in near future, I would probably do more engagements. But right now, I don't get time, unfortunately, to do these engagements.
Because it's an interesting thing, right? So are your videos more like off the cuff, right? You're like, oh, there's a topic I want to just put a quick video about, and there's no prep, no thinking, but you know what I mean? Like you're not doing that same level of prep, because I feel like you could just take a bunch of your topics, much like you took your topics to create your book. Just
so
create your video topics and condense them into a presentation.
Exactly. So most of my videos, if you go through my old videos, in fact, any video, to be honest, I just, end of the day, like when I am having my evening drink, I just run a script. And I use a script, by the way, to record my videos, and I talk about the first thing that comes to my mind, and that is it. It could be anything. It could be a problem that I solved that day, or it could be something that I think is worth sharing. So that is it. I don't do any preparation. I just start talking about it. And because we do things with Jira literally every day, we have no shortage of content. We have nothing. We have a lot to share. So I don't do any preparation, although I can. I would love to, but I can't afford to spend like 2 hours writing a script and then making a video and then spending more hours to edit. So for me, it's all about, okay, start recording, share it, and then upload it. But recently, in the last few months, I actually hired one editor in India, and we are trying to edit our videos. We are trying to make them make those videos a bit more presentable. But majority of my videos are just me talking about something.
Yeah, and as somebody who constantly prompts people, like when you have a side chat with somebody on Teams about a solution, and I'm always like, I made a Confluence emoji, or an emoji reaction. So every time somebody posts something interesting, I'm like, throw that over in Confluence for us, so everybody can find it again. And so just it's so appreciated, the content that you do put out there, because it's just a couple minutes, but it oftentimes solves a problem somebody's been facing for hours or days, right? Or even just to get another perspective on how they might be approaching something. So just a big heart thank you.
Thanks a lot. I feel good about it because for me, it is not just about doing usual things in Jira, but it is about how you use those things in Jira to solve a problem. And that problem could be anything. Maybe you want to use Jira to do something which is never really heard of. And if I think I helped someone that day, I make a video. And I keep a note of something. Like usually I have although my videos are all like very natural, but I do have a list which I keep with me. And from time to time, occasionally I go through that list. And if I think, okay, I helped someone maybe last week, let us record a video. So in most cases, it is all about solving simple problems.
Yeah, and then that sparks creativity too, I think, for folks too. Like, oh, I didn't know you could do that.
Yeah.
And that particular thing I can now take and morph into some other solution out there.
Yeah, I know a Jira YouTuber who actually has the same process. He does maintain a list. He doesn't keep it in Jira, ironically enough, but he does.
I was going to ask where it was kept.
Yeah, it wouldn't be Jira. It's not even Confluence.
I think we could at least be thankful that for his personal channel, it's not Excel.
So, yeah, I sorted that earlier from the oldest to the latest.
And when it comes to my videos, I basically don't have any hesitations. I can actually record a video anywhere I want. So if you go through my videos, you will probably find me somewhere. If I'm in a car waiting for someone in a parking lot, I record a video. If I am in a park, if I am walking, if I feel like making a video, I don't really worry about the equipment. I don't worry about the camera quality or mic. I just record a video, and that is it. And I enjoy it. I mean, I don't really have like a lot of followers, but I think people who follow my videos, I think they appreciate that I'm just being honest with my feelings. So I think a lot of my videos are of course about Jira, but there is also this personal element, like how you're using Jira and how it is related to you and your work.
So I have to ask, where were, a lot of us have those moments where we know where we were last Monday. And our immediate reaction to hearing things that were initially on LinkedIn, but then pulled, but made official. So where were you when you heard that of the end of life of Jira Data Center? What was your immediate reaction?
I was actually, I was happy and I was a bit sad as well. But to be honest, I was overall happy. And I think I learned it from LinkedIn, if I remember correctly, because I do open LinkedIn a few times in a day. And I now have this rule that after 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock, especially when I'm drunk, I will not open LinkedIn because I can post anything. So I think last week, I think it was last week.
No drunk posting, huh?
Yeah, no drunk posting anymore. I think it was probably on LinkedIn when I first learned, and I was actually happy and sad. I was a bit more happy because now, because we know that Jira Data Center will not be there in 3 years from now, it is going to be very clear for us.
It's a bit of a relief, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like, okay, we have a date, no more of
Yep.
this kind of waiting for the other shoe to fall, you know, and kind
exactly.
of seeing signs of like the
Yep.
certifications going away. And
Yeah, and definitely. So I think we all knew that it will happen, and I'm glad that it is now official. I was a bit sad because I know after 3 years, or in fact after a couple of years, we'll not be doing the usual stuff which we enjoy doing. I will not be able to run my scripts. I will not be able to run my JavaScript code. I will not be able to modify those velocity files, and I will miss those things. So all of my work that I do, majority of the times, all of my script runner scripts will not work. So in a way, I was more happy than sad, but it was a mixed feeling for me.
I mean, change is never easy, let's face
Yep.
it. And there are going to be some people that are going to have some hard choices, hard decisions to make over the next 3.5 years. But there is definitely a relief there that there's a direction now. We know what we're moving towards. We're not trying to kind of split our focus between supporting both platforms now.
Yep. And we were actually preparing for it. So just to share with you, we all know about Forge, right? I think Forge is not really like a new thing. I think it came out like 4 years back. So from day one, we are going through each and every possibility using Forge. And internally, although we have one app, I think we have 2 apps, Forge apps that are now public, but we now have, I think, around 8 apps that are in the pipeline. And we are looking at Forge not just as for app development. We are also looking at Forge as a script runner. So because our clients are on most of them are on Jira Data Center. They're going to be on cloud, or they're already on cloud. So we basically use Forge to basically fill the gaps, because using Forge you can have a private app. So we were actually preparing, and now we know that it is 3 years from now. It is actually very clear for us. So I know that in the next 3 years we will stop doing everything on Jira Data Center, but we were actually preparing for it.
I think it's kind of well, it's very smart to as far as customization, focus a little more on Forge than on Script Runner. Probably from the standpoint that just like on Data Center, your customizations would be resident at the same place where the Jira data is. And that's what you can get with Forge that you just can't get currently with Script Runner.
Yeah, I mean, Script Runner on Jira Cloud is not really massively useful because it is just a script that is doing something with REST API. You can do the same thing with Forge, and you can do the same thing by running a Python script or a shell script or some script outside Jira. So of course, there are a few things that you can do only within Jira, but when it comes to Jira Cloud, I think Forge will. This is what I think based on our internal assessment. I think Forge will probably be the only thing that you can do to fill the gaps if you compare it with Script Runner. Because Script Runner for Jira Cloud, I know we have some elements like UI modification, but UI modification on Jira Cloud is not really great. It is very simple. It is nothing like behaviors, but you can do few basic things. So Forge is limited. Forge is of course new as compared to like automations that you can do or the gaps that you can fill on data center. But I think Atlassian will keep on improving it in the next few years.
Yeah.
I have to wonder though. There's so many. So today we learned about, I'm going to say it wrong, DX, another acquisition
the DX
today,
acquisition,
right?
yes.
Yeah, DX.
Right. there's just a lot going on over there, you know? And so we talk about like, I hope, you know, we see a lot of promise with Forge. We see a lot of promise in a lot of areas. It'll be interesting to watch. Can they keep up with all the promise in a lot of areas? You know, and I always wonder about like, what things do we see right now that are actually more like beta, that we don't know they're beta? You know, they push something out and you're like, okay, and they're waiting for adoption, but because it's not fully fleshed out yet, adoption isn't quite there. So how many things are they going to be able to maintain and improve, and how many of those features and the apps, and where's, you know, I don't know if I've got a question in here or I'm just letting it all out, like, but there's concerns about how much is going on right now, and how can that all be maintained, and, you know, where do you place your bets on what's going to stick around and grow and what might go away? Any thoughts on that? On what might stick around?
So I let me kind of help out here. What we're actually kind of seeing is it used to be a long time ago. It used to be just Jira and Confluence.
Yep.
And now it's a whole suite of things that Atlassian is trying to weave together into a mosaic with AI. And DX was part of that. I actually think DX is going to be embedded somewhere into Compass, or possibly, if this needs to be some sort of reporting at higher levels, part of the strategy collection, you know, with Jira Align and that, and then like the previous week, the acquisition that was really there to kind of buttress Jira product discovery. So I think the real question is, how do you think Atlassian will fare as they move into this, what they hope to be interconnected mosaic of applications beyond just Jira and Confluence?
So to be honest, I don't know for sure, because for me personally, I basically just focus on my business and how you can use Jira and your experience and your expertise to get the most out of it, purely business-wise. I know I share content online. Of course, people look at me as someone who is helping a lot, which is true. I'm not really saying it is not true, but end of the day, I have to focus on what will bring business and what will be more profitable for me. So when I look at all these different tools, as you mentioned, like there are so many different tools now, and you can't really keep up. It is impossible unless you are a big software giant like Infosys or Accenture, and you have a team, you have a fleet of people. You can actually allocate 100 people just to focus on Jira Line. We can't do that. So I just focus on Jira. I just focus on those core tools: Jira, Confluence, Bitbucket, and few other tools, like, you know, like for example these days. And I think since last year we are doing a little bit of work with Jira Product Discovery, which is again very simple product. But I don't really worry too much, to answer your question, because Atlassian is now a big company, and I think they have a lot of money to acquire more companies, and they will probably continue to, you know, do that. But for me, purely as a business, as a small business owner, as a small Atlassian consultancy company, I think I'll probably just keep doing what I'm good in, because I can't really keep up with so many things happening.
Yeah.
I
Stick with
mean,
core competencies, right?
Yeah, we're even here. We know we can't do everything, so we have our specialists in different areas. Especially when we're talking about what we're covering here on TJL. So that would probably be my big advice: is figure out what you're good at and try and stick within that, because Atlassian is going to probably continue to throw as much as they can at the wall and see what sticks.
Yep. Yep, that is true.
So, Ravi, it's been great having you. Great conversation. We definitely need to get you back once Alex is able to attend.
Yep.
But unfortunately, we are at the end of our time here. Everyone, thanks for watching us this week. Bob, who do we have coming on next week?
Next week, it's going to be a treat. It is going to be Josh Costella. So we will hear from him about his latest adventures.
And adventures he has definitely had.
Yes.
If you're following Josh on LinkedIn, you know about some of the things he's been dealing with. So it'd definitely be interested getting his perspective on that. But as we say, we didn't choose a Jira Life. Jira Life chose us. Thanks for watching.
Bye, everybody. See you next week.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Jira Life. Our hosts are Alex, Dr. Jira Ortiz, Rodney, the Jira guy Nissen, and Sarah, #IBelieveSarah, Wright. Our producers are Robert King Bob Wen and Lina Ortiz. You can catch us as we record this podcast live every Thursday at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern on YouTube at The Jira Life. Be sure to join us and the other Jiramigos of the Peanut Gallery each week to ask questions, add your comments, and tell us what you're up to. If you can't join us live, you can still catch the replay on YouTube. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that bell while you're watching. You can also find us as a podcast on Apple iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. If you think this podcast deserves a rating, it would be much appreciated as it will help others discover the Jira Life. Because we didn't choose the Jira Life. The Jira Life chose us. Thank you to Revyz for backing us up and making the Jira Life possible.